Why shouldn't I watch porn?
Let me ask you first. The question should be, why should you watch the porn? Some will say, yeah, it's a cheap version of pleasure. We're not harming anybody else. We're just watching by ourselves. Dude, you're not harming anybody else but yourself. Not your current self but your future self. What kind of pleasure are you talking about? Pleasure of what? Dopamine? Why? What if I tell you the dopaminic pleasure of watching porn can actually make your real actual sexual life unenjoyable? You will think I'm just joking, but for real, it will affect your real sexual life. Pleasure and pain both occur in the same part of our brain, and our brain have a homeostasis level, kind of normal level, where every emotions have to be in a normal state. Whenever you watch porn, there is a surge of dopamine in your head, making you pleasured for a while. But since your head wants the homeostasis level back, it will limit the dopamine production inside your body. To feel the pleasured, you have to maintain the same level of dopamine. So you will click to a new video and watch again and again, eventually making you an addict. These spontaneous surges of dopamine creates a imaginary homeostasis line as well. So when you watch it, the dopamine level goes up, and after a certain point it goes down. And that down period you'll face as sadness, unpleasured, depressed. As this imaginary homeostasis line shifted above the original one, your body limits the production more and more. The more the imaginary line shifts, the more your body limits the production of dopamine. Hitting the same amount of dopamine again and again makes that unpleasured for you after some times. So to feel pleasured, you have to have more dopamine than you have previously. And dopamine works on a simple kind of thing and randomness. And that's why you have these different kind of thousands of categories on these websites. This cycle repeats again and again, making you more worse, making you more addict. You have to understand dopamine is behind a libido. You might be shocked by thinking that I am just throwing some random words, but neurologist Andrew Huberman explained it really well in one of his podcasts.
The brain is a learning prediction machine. Good data to support the idea that if your brain learns to be aroused by watching other people have sex, it is not necessarily going to carry over to the ability to get aroused when you're one-on-one with somebody else, right? Especially young kids who are consuming a lot of pornography, the brain is learning sexual arousal to when people are pursuing dopamine peaks over and over and over, and they aren't getting them. Typically, it's because they've been pursuing that activity far too often. The cycling back and forth between dopamine and low dopamine states, dopamine fasting as it were, but maybe just low dopamine states, these are natural rhythms that existed in the nervous system. We have to remember what the dopaminergic system is there for. I'll say it again, I wasn't consulted at the design phase, but we know as a generic form of motivation and pursuit, you can imagine the human or the animal that's hungry.
See, it is harder to quit it, but it is important. As Dr. Jordan Peterson always says, it's not okay, but it is necessary. You'll stuck in this loop and you'll never get out of it. You'll become weaker and weaker, mentally, physically. So choose today what you have to do and what you have to not. Do exercise, eat well, get enough sunlight, meet new people, talk to new people in real life, not in the phones. Get out of this phone world and see the real world. This virtual world is destroying you. Understand and get to the higher level of yourself. Do not become slave of this motherfucking website. I hope it will help you.